happy birthday because he wasn't speaking to me. I'm talking about my dad. My dad was a controlling man, and I'm not talking in the you're not going to date until you're 16 young lady type of way, but more in the you'll sit with your parents in church, not your friends. The summer that I turned 15, we went in our RV to explore California. We took off in June from our home in Arizona, and by the time my birthday rolled around, late July, my dad hadn't spoken to me for 30 days. What had happened early on is that we had stopped at an RV park. I went and played with some of the other kids. I missed my check-in. And my dad wasn't really quite sure what to do with me. He had stopped spanking me when I turned 13. So he went with the silent treatment. On vacation, in an RV, for over 30 days. And that's really tight quarters to try to ignore someone. A couple days later, we were at Fisherman's Wharf, saw some cotton candy. I asked my mom, who had to ask my dad, because he controlled every last dime in our household, to the point that he took the checkbook with him in the bathroom, even when we were at home. And he was pretty sure he had seen cotton candy for 79 cents, so he told her no, unless we found the 79-cent candy. We spent the next hour going up and down, looking at the different stores to save 20 cents. And for my mom, that was really the last straw. She ended up summoning the courage, called the police. They came and picked us up. She told me we had to get out of there. They escorted us back to the RV. My mom and I were in the back, putting our personal belongings in garbage bags. I remember walking with my garbage bag with personal belongings and clothes up that skinny hallway in the RV. My dad was sitting in the driver's seat, turned around. He was furious. I had butterflies in my stomach. I was kind of in knots. This was such a bold move against my father. And as I got to the front, he stuck his finger out at me and said, "You are making the biggest mistake of your life. You will never amount to anything." Now I already had the knots in my stomach. I was flushed, so scared he was going to come after us. But there was also something inside of me that bristled and said, that is not going to be my reality. Can't was his opinion, but it wasn't my truth. And that little voice inside said, and it was fueled by spite, but it said, "Oh yeah? Watch me." If you're making travel plans, do not go to the San Luis Obispo bus stop. Because apparently a lot of the fishermen in the area have their big stinky catches and they take the bus. In the middle of summer, that is a very smelly location, so try to avoid that. But that's where the officer had taken my mom, my little sister, and myself to get the bus to go back to Arizona. Once there, it was a month or so later, my mom reconciled with my dad. So that was super awkward. But it didn't last too long, and my senior year, they did divorce. The only problem was I was 16 when I graduated and had a full scholarship to one of the universities, but I wasn't allowed to go because I was underage, and now that they were divorced, they both wanted to move back east where their families were. So pretty much was dragged cross-country, kicking and screaming the whole way. And once there, I was setting about planning my 18th birthday move out. I worked hard, and I had people telling me, "You can't go back to Arizona, you don't have anyone there. Your high school friends went to college, all your family's here, you don't have support." And I just kind of looked at them like, "Oh yeah? Watch me." So I did move, and in the process, I traded one really bad relationship in for another one. Back in Arizona, after a couple of months, I moved in with my boyfriend, And he thought it was okay to be with me in the evening, and the next day to go to the beach and hit on girls, and sometimes not come home. And if I told him that I wasn't really okay with that, he didn't want to hear it. He told me, you can't leave me, like you're not going to make it on your own without me. And if I wanted to work it out, didn't really want that either. So one night we had a party. We had a house full of people. We'd had a couple drinks. And I thought, hey, this is a perfect time to talk about our relationship. So, unfortunately, he beat the crap out of me that night. I went to work the next day, covered in bruises, marks around my throat, my arms. And I remember working that morning before anyone else was around, and I was thinking, I don't know that I can leave, because no one even acknowledged what happened. They could see the bruises, and no one even mentioned it. There was no term for domestic violence back in that time. But in a little while, that little voice got a little bit louder, and I did leave. Can't was his opinion. It wasn't mine, because I'm a survivor. Fast forward a couple years, I moved to Phoenix. Little girl in the big city. Think this is pretty cool. We have traffic lights and everything. I'm working 2 jobs to make ends meet when I get knocked up. I remember hearing them tell me that I was pregnant. I remember the song on the radio, and it played. I switched stations, and it played again. It was kind of this out-of-body experience. But then that was followed by a long few days of tears, because I had imagined what it would be like to be a parent. I wanted to have a kid, but this was not in any way the way I had pictured it happening. But I had to get quiet and listen to that voice, because even though it was going to be hard, it wasn't impossible. And pretty soon that voice got a little louder and said, watch me. There were financial challenges for sure, amongst all the other single parenting challenges. I remember coming home one day with my son, and there was a note on the door that my electric had been shut off. That's an epic fail for a parent to come home. It's humiliating. I took it out, stuffed it in there, grabbed my son, and we went to the mall for him to do his homework that night in hopes that he wouldn't notice what was going on. I got paid the next day, the lights came back on. And I just remember every time there were challenges like that, I got through them and I got a little stronger. I decided then when he was, well, actually, he's 24 now, so things turned out okay. He's pretty cool. He is creative, very musically talented, and I'd like to say that my love for cooking and travel has rubbed off on him a little bit. But when he was 2, I decided to go back to school. Now I had statistics as well as people telling me I can't be a young single mom and go to college and maintain. But I did, because that was their opinion. My voice said, watch me. So I got my bachelor's in psychology. I then decided to go on for a master's in social work. And again, people are saying, oh, the field's impacted, they prefer out-of-state students. You can't do internships, you have to do internships with the master's and work and go to school and raise your son. Yeah, watch me. So I got my master's in 3 years. And after I graduated, I started thinking, like, what is the mark that I want to leave on the world? My DNA was shifting. I wasn't saying watch me out of spite anymore. It was more, bring it. So I worked for the county in child welfare for several years after graduation, post-grad. And that's when I reconnected with my passion for photography, which I'd had since I was a little girl. But I started taking workshops and trainings. Pretty soon I was taking on clients, friends and family as clients. And 10 years ago, I entered the wonderful world of being an entrepreneur. In 2009, I became a full-time photographer. I absolutely love what I do. I love waking up every day. I love sharing the beauty that I see in people with them. I love creating those family moments that are going to hang on their wall for this generation and the next. When people see me work, I get into my zone. Some of you have seen that. And people think I'm a little nuts, but I love that when I'm tapping into my creativity and sharing my gift with others, I still get goosebumps and I get giddy. So I love that. For those of you who are entrepreneurs, it is not for the faint of heart. It is a roller coaster. There are days, well, you don't get regular paychecks. There is no paid vacation, and there are times that I do not remember what a real day off looks like. But I love what I do. Which leads me to my latest endeavor, which is an inspiration photo book. Working with my friend, makeup artist, and business partner, where we're showcasing women that have overcome major obstacles. I know that I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't met some very strong women who have inspired me and supported me. And this book pays tribute to women out there like that. There are days that I have no idea how it's going to get funded, how it's going to get done on the timeline that we have. But I know that it will, because can't isn't an option. I say, watch me. So 3 lessons that I've learned that applies to my life and my business are: 1, do not let negativity deter you from your dreams. I don't get as many you can'ts anymore because I've learned to surround myself with people who support me. You can't get rid of the negativity in your life. And even if that means you're standing in front of the mirror, telling yourself that you believe in yourself, do that. 2, I had to get super clear on who I was. I went to a training where I had to boil it down to 3 words to describe me. 1, photographer, because I'm pretty sure I would shrivel up and die if I couldn't do that. 2, entrepreneur. And 3, woman. Those 3 words define me to my core. And everything that I do, every single day, reflects that. So personal branding, mission statements, the projects that I choose to work on, those all come really easy once I have that established. And 3, don't diminish the struggles that you've gone through. I'd start thinking, oh, it happened such a long time ago, or it could have been worse. I know so-and-so who's had it worse than me. But without those struggles, I wouldn't be who I am today because they shape me. They are the things that made me the strong woman that I am today and allowed me to be here on this stage. I survived, and I'm actually thriving. Before I go, just one thing that I'd love to leave with you is that it's so important to teach our daughters, our friends, our family, our neighbors, and ourselves that to listen to that little voice, that they can do anything that they want to and believe in themselves because you're strong enough. You can do anything you set your mind to. You're strong, you're a survivor, and can't is just an opinion.